Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the...
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Source. Okay, well, maybe the Chinese company that did not get the agreement that they wanted here, maybe they're the ones who told you. Or it could be just a fictitious thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Sujerome?
So, my relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
Guyana, really nice. Guyana, it's a nice place.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, this is the elite team. The root team. Strong team.
Number one.
PPP team. Yeah. You understand? PPP all the way. Yeah, one Guyana. Yes.
Holding the fort for Monday morning.
In any weather, rain, sun.
We are
in
here.
the night. We there right here. We ain't going nowhere. We holding it for PPP.
Right.
PPP all the way.
Yeah, we definitely strong ship.
Yes. Yeah, PPP all the way. Yes. Yeah.
Now beat it! And you must don't get your stuff till you pay up your back rent!
Mr. Mark, I believe every word of what Mr. Shu is saying. I am also afraid of Mr. Shu. Mr. Shu, if you are listening, I don't want anybody to harm you. This is a serious thing. Corruption is big. And we Chinese have to stop that. Been bullied by Jack Deal and other government officials to pay bribe. It's big all over Guyana. A Chinese to pay by bribe. Mr. Shu, I hope you to stay strong. Do not. We respect and salute you for your bravery, for coming up and speak against corruption in Guyana. Thank you, Mr. Shu. We appreciate you, Mr. Mark. 马克，我相信每一句苏先生说的话。我现在很担心苏先生。苏先生，如果你在听我说话，我不想任何人威胁你。圭亚那政府腐败很严重，这个是很严重的事情。我们中国人必须停止被那些政府用武力行贿。苏先生，我希望你能继续你的发表，也希望你在新的一年万事如意。
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. It's Thursday, the 20th of April. Yes, and let me see if you guys recognize that thing in the photo at the passport office. Look at the passport office. It's always crowded. People are pushing. People are lining up to leave Guyana. The same Guyana that Jack Dave and them say that it's prosperous and it's booming and all manner of things. I don't know where it's booming. It's got to be booming somewhere else that makes Jack Dave feels nice, but it's not booming. We're not seeing any evidence of that. Tell me who this stooge is. Tell me who that person is. And if you can identify that thing in the photograph, you get an award. You will be going. We will give you a ticket to attend some movie wherever you are. Wherever you are. Who is this thing in this photograph? When I received a message, someone sent me this thing. I was eating some chicken because we love chicken, right? We love chicken. Come on, admit it. We love chicken, right? And not only that, we love chicken and a big Cokes. Always give a big Cokes with me. A chicken and a big Coke. That's what they get. It's okay. Now, who is this? I noticed somebody said, Charandas. Yeah. Things not working out for him. He's probably taking his friends, some guys, mind you, some men, probably taking some folks over the passport office. Look, it's crowded. It's crowded. This is the same guy who represented Guyana at India. He was the High Commissioner, Guyana High Commissioner. And for those of you who are non-Guyanese who are watching this program, that guy standing there was a diplomat. I don't know, maybe that's why for some people it's called mat, short mat. They took the mat, the doormat, and turned this doormat into a diplomat. And this is how this so-called diplomat, who was recently, up until recently, Guyana's High Commissioner to India. Oh yeah, they sent him. This Nimakaram, this Katahar, this Korhi, this Chamar, this Terekabur Nanika, right? They sent him to represent Guyana all the way in India. And while he was in India, this is how he behaved.
Are you any better?
No.
You're throwing out a helpless dog?
What helpless dog? I don't need a dog in my yard, all right? You want a dog, take it, put it between your legs.
You little bastard.
No, you probably want the dog to fuck you. That's what you want. I don't care. I don't care who you are.
I don't care who the hell you are.
Fuck you.
Yeah, dekha.
Now listen to me.
You're drunk. You're
Don't
bloody,
let any woman come in my yard.
You're bloody drunk.
Hello. You like the camera?
You don't understand English. Speak in Hindi. Chalo, tum chalo.
There wasn't an outrage about Lemon, get this thing off the screen, please. Get this thing off the screen. Good evening to all of you and welcome to Straight Up. But we didn't get the sort of outrage from the PPP folks. Jack Dio and them didn't care what that thing Charandas did and insulted that woman. They didn't give a damn about that. Irfan Ali didn't give a damn about that. They just didn't care. And so there's this PNC operative that cursed, quote unquote, a reporter for Chronicle. Because, you know, Chronicle, they get the Chronicle, and this is not disrespecting those reporters who work at the Chronicle, because the Chronicle is actually a rag. But the PNC, to the coalition's credit, they started to turn the rag around a little bit, you know. They started to turn the rag around a little bit, but it's still a rag. And I don't know why any government, be it the APNU, AFC, be it these installed people in office, why do they need a rag like the Chronicle? I wish the APNU, AFC would have probably privatized the Chronicle, privatized NCN, because hundreds of millions of your money, my money, because I pay tax too. Right? I pay taxes, of course. Hundreds of millions of your dollars is being placed into these rags. The Chronicle. Nobody reads the Chronicle any longer because it's a propaganda newspaper. And when these journalists, when these reporters go to press conferences and stuff, and when they go to Jack Dale's bottom house meeting that he calls a press conference, they don't ask the sort of questions. They don't challenge Jack Dale. They just sit there and say, hello, you know. But when they go to other press conferences, it's like they want to bully Aubrey Norton. You heard that reporter from the Chronicle. It's like she wanted to bully Aubrey Norton this morning. You know, like it turned into a personal fet. That's what it was. She wants to know why this and what is the party going to do and why and this. It became personal, you know, personal. Aubrey Norton, I believe, handled it well, that particular part of it, to say that when you are working for an outfit, the media outfit, and you call somebody, say, for example, you call this girl, Joe Puran. You call her right now, and Joe Puran is listening to us. Joe Puran, let me see. I know Joe. Joe is a backtracker, came to the U.S. backtrack, hiding somewhere out in New York. And Joe is concerned about my eyes and the lighting and so forth. But he's not concerned, or she's not concerned. Joe is part of the Kwame crew, mind you, living in the U.S. illegally, right? So Joe is living in the U.S. illegally. And this is what she's concerned about, or about my eyes. You see, these PPP things are in love with me, you know. We can't blame them. He's not going to look at Jack Day's press conference and how Jack Day moving his legs and wiggling and drinking the water and swallowing and turning and digging his nose. He's not going to look at that, but they're going to come here to look at me. A lot of them come here, let's admit it, they come here to just look and ensure they take a nice look at me. Because if they don't look at me, they don't feel good. They just don't feel good at all, right? They create all sorts of fake pages to come and look at me. Take a look at me, Joe, probably Kwame, you know, these things. That's what they do. They have nothing proper to offer. And I'm sure that Lemon has already blue in the trench. Let's move on. Good evening to all you positive vibes people. All you positive vibes people. Share the link as we are going to rock and roll this evening. We have Dr. David Hines. Charlene, I know. Can you blame them for liking me? They've got to like me. Come on. Who are they going to like? Who else is there that is on their side that they can like, right? Sorry about that. Sometimes I'm a little full of myself, right? I don't know why, but gosh, just a little arrogance in me, right? And a little bit too conceit, right, Ms. Booker? All right, let's get back on track here, mind you. Dr. David Hines is going to be with us this evening. We have also attorney at law, Shalon Washington. And we have I guess, yes, we have tonight as well for a few minutes. We have His Worship, the Mayor of Georgetown, is going to be with us for a few minutes as well. So we have kind of like a packed house this evening, but we thank you guys, of course. We thank you guys. I know you guys got to protect me, because the crew, the Kwame crew, they're after me. They're after me. They're running. They're after me, you can't blame them, right? But not really. Come on, somebody else, not me, man. I'm not into that, not at all, right? I'm sorry about that. I just had to say it. I just had to let them know that. But so what else happening? Let us see here. We've noticed that Jack Deere. Take a look at Jack Deere. Let's break this thing down. Everyone, every single one has a problem. He has a problem. He feels that everybody else is wrong and he is right. Everybody else is wrong and he is right. And now he's picking fight now with Suriname. He says, and this is the headline here in one of those PPP stuff. Jack Deere refutes allegations of trade embargo placed on Suriname. He is refuting allegations that they have what is called a silent agreement not to have any sort of trade with Suriname because they don't like the Suriname government. They don't like the vice president of Suriname. And of course, the president of Suriname is Santoki. And when Santoki was the minister of national security, he was able to rid Guyana of some of the criminals. And so when the PPP was in office, and so Jack Deere has this way about him, that he holds malice. He puts people in the red book. He puts them in the book. He put Chris Gale in the book. He put everybody in the book, right? And he doesn't take them out of that book, This is a cruel guy. And so here's what he's saying. He says minister's actions shady. So he's saying the minister of Suriname, the agriculture minister of Suriname, Pardmanan Sudian, Hukak Machau, Mr. Pardmanan, the minister of agriculture in Suriname, he is saying that the minister's action is shady because the minister of Suriname actually said that there is an embargo. Imagine Guyana now has an embargo on Suriname. Just imagine. Wait until you hear that the Guyana fishermen can go back into Guyana's water and they start to seize the vessels and all manner of things. Just wait because lash get lash back. And when the lash back comes, Jack ain't gonna be able with a lash back. Lash get lash back. Again, what else it is? Because we've noticed that Dr. David Hines is with us this evening, as I've said. But look at this cop, killed a few years ago. The police, they were investigating this matter. It went into cold storage, and kudos to a few seasoned detectives who were still on this case. And so Blanham and acting commission, all these guys, they want to make it look as though it's these new guys that got into the cold unit, that they're responsible for this. No. I'm almost certain it's the old detectives who were into this and were able to solve this case. Kudos to those old detectives, not the new ones who are now getting the credit for something they haven't done. But here's what I want to say. These people, the woman is said to be a relative of Irfan Ali, according to information, said to be a relative of Irfan Ali. The police knew that they were a suspect or suspects. Yet these folks, according to information, were allowed to leave the country. They were allowed to leave the country. Ask yourselves why. Ask yourselves why. I don't know. We're seeing it. We're hearing it every single day. Ask yourselves why these things happen in Guyana. Dr. David Hines, good evening to you, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Brother Mark. I'm fine, thanks. How about yourself?
I am great, even under the circumstances. We see all the corruption, all the blatant racism and the lies coming from the PPP, coming from Jack Dale, and all these manner of things. And I just deliberately mentioned this particular case here, that these folks were suspects into the disappearance of this policeman. But yet, Dr. Hines, they were allowed to leave the country. How does that make you feel when others are being penalized, their passports taken away, and all manner of things for far less things than a murder or a disappearance?
Well, we are not governed in Guyana by the rule of law. We are governed by the rape of the law. And now, if the story caught my eye this morning when I read the newspaper, and I saw that these people might be deported, and I said, oh, something is wrong here. If these people are prime suspects, why were they allowed to leave the country in the first place? That was the question that I asked. And later on this evening, I got the same information that you got, that these people were well connected. And more we are seeing how this government is governing not in the interest of all of its people. It is governing not according to the rule of law. That Guyana is a gangster state. It's an apartheid state. It's a gangster state. And it's an ethno-dominated state that is concerned just with dominating the society. People always ask, why do you all do this? They say you all talk too much. And I like to tell them that the more we talk, the more we are exposing. Things like this will never come to light. The traditional media is not going to give you the subtext of these stories. It is these alternative media that have to give you that. And the importance of exposing things like these is not to expose ordinary citizens, because they are ordinary citizens, but to expose the way in which the government is manipulating the law in the country.
Absolutely agree with you, Dr. David Hines. It's 24 minutes after 9 o'clock. Later, we will be joined by Attorney Shelon Washington. We will talk about the Linden situation and why Linden should remain in the hands of the coalition. It shouldn't go to PNC. It shouldn't go, it shouldn't go to the PPP at all, period. Otherwise, Linden will be no more. We'll also be joined by the mayor of Georgetown, Ubraj Narain. Dr. David Hines, we have been hearing a lot of things. I did speak about this quickly. Jack Deere seems to have this, I don't know what's happening with him mentally, but everybody is wrong and he is right. There is a supposed embargo on Suriname. The Minister of Agriculture in Suriname, Mr. Pardaman Siudian, actually spoke about that. Jack Deere rushes out to say that the minister's actions is shady. Why everybody's wrong? Mike McCormack of the Guyana Human Rights Association, according to Jack Dale, is wrong. The Guyana Press Association is wrong. David Hines is wrong. All the other folks are wrong. But Jack Dale is right. What's wrong with someone with that sort of mentality, sir?
Well, we have to put Jack Dale in context, Mark. The PPP, dating right back to the 1950s, always argued that they are being bullied. They said that between 1957 and 64, they were in office but not in power. And therefore, in order for an Indian Guyanese government to govern from Georgetown, it has to be a government that has a pit bull. And Jack Dio was cultivated by the PPP quest to become the bullies of Guyana, because they came to the conclusion, unfortunately, that the way for a PPP government to survive in Guyana, it has to be a bully government. And so they created a bully. And Jack Dio was created as a bully. And Indian people, in a sense, in many regards, they see him as their bully. No, I'm sure that many Indian Guyanese are outraged by his crassness and his lack of political decorum and political upbringing. But what they do like about him is that you know, all of us when we were little boys, we always hear the talk about black man coolie. That he is this Indian bully to put black people in their place. So he's a carefully cultivated and crafted character by the politics of bullyism. And you have to see Jack there in that context. After a time, you come to believe that you are what your supporters say you are, that you are invincible. You are the big bouncer in the midst. You're the big bad man. And so, with power in your hand, you say anything, you do anything, you threaten anybody, and because you are the bully. You are the bully. And so, to understand Jack Dew, you have to understand that political construction.
You know, some people may see it as also in addition to what you've just described, is that because a lot of Indian Guyanese have been bullied by this tug, this political tug.
Yes.
A lot of them have been targeted by this political tug. And so it's not just confined to being a bully towards, because he's not a bully, he's very soft, he's a soft pop. Not just from his voice, he's just soft, very soft. And so he has been portraying this toughness, not only against persons of African descent, but against East Indians as well, who don't like him. And a lot of our Indian brothers and sisters in Guyana don't like this political tug, this wannabe political tug. They just don't like him.
Well, yes, I am sure you create something for the other people, and the thing turn back and bite you. And this is what is happening in the Indian Guyanese community. They construct this character. They construct this character, and this character has now become a plague for them. And that's the contradiction of politics, you know. I may differ from you in this, but you know, if he's bullying Indian people, they got to get rid of their bully. They got to get rid of their bully. And I don't see any evidence that they're ready to get rid of their bully.
You know, the Trinidadian, we got to be, as we saying, because we have a few Trinidadians who are watching, and when we say that, we're saying bullying. Jack Dale, bullying.
No, there's the Jamaicans. Oh yes, the Trinidadians will say bullying.
Absolutely. Right. You know, Dr. Hines, let's get into this here now too. Irfan Ali is exploring importation of skilled foreign workers. Not so long ago, thousands of public servants were laid off, mainly because of their ethnicity and also because of their political affiliation. How brazen is it that this installed regime is saying that they are actively exploring importation of skilled foreign workers? Your take, sir.
Mark, it's more than brazen. It is part of the master plan. The PPP's master plan is to use the almost unlimited political space that they occupy, to use the tremendous oil wealth, to use the geopolitical situation, which at least is not bucking them. And so they've created this space in which they could transform post-oil Guyana. All right? And this transformation of post-oil Guyana is to realign politics and society in Guyana. Remember, in the PPP's head, Guyana and the Caribbean have been constructed as an African space. And what they intend to do with oil wealth and the fact that the geopolitics is in their favor and the monopolization of the political space, what they intend to do is to realign government, state, and society. Realign, it's a term. What it means is that you change the status quo. You realign the politics and the society. I am arguing and I'm warning Guyanese, especially African Guyanese, you are not dealing with conventional politics. You are dealing with a politics that is in pursuit of seizing total control of the state, government, and the society, and to use them to realign social, political, and economic relations. If we do not stop the PPP, we are going to be crying. If you think we're crying now, in 20 years, if we do not stop these people now, they are going to realign that country, and it will be a country that the sons and daughters of coffee will not recognize. Will not recognize. So this whole business that he's talking there about is about bringing in, look, what this government is doing is what other governments will hide to do. They're not hiding. You use the term brazen. They're not hiding to do it because the levers of power to stop them are not there. They have total monopoly of government. They have total monopoly of the resources. They are getting a free pass by the geopolitics, and they are actively neutralizing the opposition, the formal opposition. They're neutralizing them. And the support of the opposition, they are doing a combination of beating them, buying them, psychologically assaulting them. And so therefore, they are able to do these things brazenly because there are no levers of power in this society to stop them at this moment. And they're tying up we in the opposition in formalities. They're tying us up in elections. They're tying us up in crossover vote. They're tying us up in calling us racist when we talk the truth. What they're doing is that they're changing even the meanings of words. Under the PPP, racism means race love. If you love your color, that's racist. They're changing the meaning of words. No, a shocking revelation last night. I watched Kit Nascimento, and Kit said,
Dr. Hines.
Yes.
I mean, for you to watch Kit and listen to Kit, you could have called me. We could have had a nice conversation.
No. Listen to what?
Is he still around?
Yes, listen to what Kit said last night.
Go ahead.
Kit said none of the newspapers or the media outlets quoted Ogunse correctly. No, I know that. None of them. They took what Ogunse said from the police and the PPP. No, this is the media. Kit Nascimento said none of them got it right. He said, what I did, I listened, and then when it wasn't made, I transcribed. And when you look at the transcription of what Ogunse said, you won't believe what you're seeing in the papers. So I'm making that point to say the media, which is supposed to be a watchdog, don't even do their work. None of them went to that speech, transcribed it, and read it. They depended on the police. Now, here we are in Guyana, where the media is depending on the police, which is murdering people for their reports on the murder. You understand? So I'm saying we are headed down a fascist direction, and if we do not stop this government and remove them by all means necessary, note I'm not saying by any means, by all means, including by election, including by shaming the people who they're recruiting, by all means, if we don't, our country would be realigned and we wouldn't recognize it.
So true. We have Anne Lewis actually saying we are the skilled workers supposed to. Where are the skilled workers supposed to be coming from? Still can't get over that news, especially when so many skilled workers, Guyanese, are out of work. So true, are out of work. Before you respond to that, Dr. Hines, let's welcome attorney at law Shellen Washington. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Miss Washington.
Hi, good evening, Mark, and good evening, Mr. Hines.
Good evening.
So, Dr. Hines, take a quick bite at that. So many skilled workers in Guyana, thousands of them have been sent to the breadline, compliments of Irfan Ali and Jack Deere, the PPP. But now they're bringing in, what, hundreds, probably thousands of workers from India, Bangladesh, China, Venezuela, Brazil. But they don't want the Haitians in Guyana. They don't want the Nigerians in Guyana. Take a quick bite at that before we get to Miss Washington, sir.
We have people in Guyana who are unemployed, underemployed. The only country in the English-speaking Caribbean that has come the closest to have wiped out unemployment, believe it or not, is St. Kitts Nevis, right? They have about 1 or 2% unemployment. Granted that some of those who are unemployed are really underemployed because they're not working for a living wage. Guyana is nowhere near that. Our unemployment rate ranges from 25 to 45, depending on which economist you talk to. So there is unemployment and underemployment in your country, but yet you're importing workers. You have money to train workers. If you need skilled workers, you have the resources. You can train them, but you are going outside to bring skilled workers. First of all, that is anti-development. And if it's anti-development, it has to be pro-something. And what it is pro is control. Now, there's a reason why the PPP has reduced democracy to election, because they feel that remains their pathway to power. Now, at some point, they will have to stop rigging 1 or 2 seats the way they're doing it. So what they're doing now is trying to bring these external workers in order to pad the electorate. Now they've already padded the list. What they're doing with those workers is padding the electorate. I'm warning Guyana, we are headed to a fascist state. And when fascism reaches that point, it's difficult to dismantle it.
The people are picking up on that. Jamal Aziz says they're bringing in these workers, these so-called workers, so that the workers can vote for them.
Yes.
They don't trust the Haitians. They don't trust the Nigerians. They trust those coming from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India. Let's be realistic. Now, Ms. Washington, here is where you caught the conversation. Irfan Ali, who sits there as the installed president of Guyana, is saying that the government actively exploring importation of skilled foreign workers to Guyana. Meanwhile, as soon as they got into office, they terminated the work of services of thousands of Guyanese, mainly African Guyanese and other Guyanese who do not support the PPP. Your take on this latest revelation from the PPP?
I think what's going on, Guyanese need to wake up. That's the first thing. This is a wake up call. Um, it makes no sense. And Guyanese are sitting there in Guyana. You look at the situation that you would have skilled workers, and Guyana is known for having skilled workers because the problem that Guyana faces almost every single year there's a graduation from the University of Guyana is brain drain. So we know that Guyana always has produced skilled workers in various fields and various technical trades also, because we do have technical schools in Guyana that trade workers with various trades. As it relates to education, we know that's not a problem because we have the University of Guyana producing skilled employee training, them educational wise, and people leave the university qualified on a yearly basis, on an annual basis. So if the president sees it fit to import so-called skilled workers, I don't think that makes any sense because number one, Guyana already have an unemployment problem. So if you're telling me you're bringing skilled people to fill positions, how about you bringing people to train if you believe you don't have skills in Guyana? How about you bringing qualified people that you believe are bringing, hiring people who you think are qualified to train more employees to work for the government or wherever the jobs are? This just looks very, very fishy. And it's given the impression that what the PPP is trying to do, they're trying to push Afro-Guyanese out and turn Guyana into a country that is mostly Indian or Indo-Guyanese. I think Guyanese need to wake up because this kind of action taken by the PPP makes no sense. Why would you bringing skilled workers in a country that already has skilled workers and underemployed? We have an underemployment situation, unemployment and underemployed. Guyanese, there's not sufficient jobs in Guyana for the Guyanese. So it makes no sense that you're going to bring people from abroad to perform jobs that we already have people there.
Absolutely. Well said. We are also, thank you so much, Attorney Shellen Washington. We are also joined by His Worship, the Mayor of Georgetown. Good night to you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, sir.
You hearing me?
Loud and clear. Good evening. How are you?
Hello?
Yep. Loud and clear. Good evening. Are you hearing me? All right, that's the mayor of Georgetown. We want to move on to some other subjects. The rounding up of these individuals and putting them in red. The objective is to create this imagery, the optics of red, run the place red, which is not true at all. Dr. Hines, you have been speaking out about this here. Let's see if I get the mayor back again. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Hi, Mark. You hearing me? Hi, Mark. You hearing me?
How are you? Yes. Good night, sir.
Hello?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Yes.
Good night. Good night to you and your panelists, Dr. David Hines and Ms. Washington. Pleasant good evening, all the viewers.
Yes, good evening to you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for taking time out. Let's have Dr. David Hines to take a first bite at this so-called red T-shirt individuals, some of whom are getting money, some are getting a little fried rice, God in heaven knows whatever else they're getting. Your take, Dr. David Hines, on this.
Mark, I think the PPP knows that when people cross the floor in Guyana, they don't take votes with them. I cannot think of any politician who crossed the floor in post-colonial Guyana. Perhaps Hamilton Green. Perhaps Hamilton Green in 1994, when he formed GGG, and he was able to beat the PNC in Georgetown. That was the only time somebody took away votes with them. But generally, when leaders cross the floor, they don't take no votes with them. And so the PPP knows that these people are not taking votes with them. But the objective is not votes. The PPP can get extra votes from the padded voters list. They already got the extra votes there. What they want with this spectacle is to divide and destabilize the opposition camp and divide and destabilize African Guyanese. If you're an African Guyanese and you look at that, you say, oh, Jesus Christ, like these people gonna win. Look how much people cross over. And you become disenchanted. You may not be enthusiastic to go out to the polls. And as for the leadership, when you have somebody who was your mayor just a couple of years ago, jump ship, you shame. If you're the PNC, you feel a little shame because you had people who work for you and you didn't give them zilch. And somebody like that, you turn into Madam Mayor and then she leave you, you shame. So, and the PPP, that's the confusion they want to create in the opposition camp. And so those red jerseys on those human beings are part of the beating down of the opposition. And that's what you call voter suppression, because you're using the funds of the state to buy candidates. You're not buying votes, you're buying candidates. The candidates are not taking votes, but what they're doing, they're undermining the base of the other side. And that is the effect of those people crossing over with the jerseys. The only way you fight back on that is that you ostracize them. They on your bear, turn your face. You see them walking the street, spit on the opposite side. Make them pay the price of ostracization for what they're doing. Because in the process of looking after themselves, they're undermining a proud people and helping to turn those people into chattel in a free Guyana. And they have to pay a price of ostracization. And the second thing is that, and this is a matter for the PNC, the PNC has to stop talking nice. You talk nice to nice people. People who are not nice, you deal with them in that way. You talk tough to them and you let them know that you are not going to set an example of turning the other cheek to your people. So the PNC has to use this campaign to bring the voters out to vote and to stop the PPP taking over all the political space in Guyana. But secondly, they have to use the campaign to put some steel in the back and put some bones in the back of their supporters.
All right, Dr. David Hines here for you guys. Before we get to Attorney at Law Shellen Washington, let's again welcome back the mayor, His Worship Ubraj Narain. We were just talking. Dr. David Hines did mention the optics and that here is a former mayor of the PNC, the coalition, has joined. This, Dr. Hines, yes, I understand in terms of the optics, but this is a former mayor that was not well liked at all, period. And people are smiling. People say, what is it that she's carrying other than the red t-shirt? Mr. Mayor, the current mayor we have right now, who is well liked. Good evening to you, sir. Your take on this so-called red, people wearing the red and jumping ship. Your take.
Looks
Mr.
like
Mayor?
the mayor looks frozen. Oh,
Yep. So, something with your computer, your phone.
Hi,
sir.
Mark, I can't hear you.
Yep, something is happening at your end. Maybe you'll have to tune in on a different system. Can you hear me?
he can't. He's using a phone, Mark.
Yeah, your take on
Hello?
yeah, can you hear me, sir? All right, we just have to remove His Worship the Mayor and have him rejoin us hopefully sometime soon. But Miss Washington, before you respond to that question, the same question, this perception of a false optics actually with this people getting paid to put on t-shirt, 10,000, 5,000, a box of food, whatever. Let's go to your tongue of Linden. Maybe you'll recognize one of these guys.
Yeah, this is the elite team. The root team. Strong team.
Number one.
PPP team. Yeah. You understand? PPP all the way. Yeah, one Guyana. Yes.
Holding the fort for Monday morning.
In any weather, rain, sun,
we are
in
here.
the night. We there right here. We ain't going nowhere. We holding it for PPP.
Right.
PPP all the way. Yeah, we definitely strong shit. Yes. Yeah, PPP all the way. Yes. Yeah.
You know, Miss Washington, your take on that, your take before. Go ahead.
Mark, that is a deception. I think what the PPP is doing is singling out a few people, and whatever they're giving to them, I guess they're accepting to go on the internet or be recorded, making statements about supporting. Linden has always been a PNC stronghold. Linden is predominantly Afro-Guyanese, and I've grown up in Linden, and Linden has always, to the best of my knowledge, supported PNC. And I think when people are looking and they're seeing these few people who are they're of no value. I don't want to, not really no value, but they don't have any type of influence. They don't have any type of weight. They're just regular people in the street. The PPP are picking up people here, there, and everywhere and creating a deception. And if Lindeners, if PNC followers are not paying attention and they're being deceived by this type of uptick, then that's very sad, because this is just a deception. And people, y'all need to keep your eyes open. You need to be awakened and recognize what they're trying to do. They're trying to cause division. They're trying to cause confusion. And what the PNC need to do is exactly what Barjagdio told his supporters in 2020. Chase these people out of your community. Run them out. They have no place in your community. They have no business in your town. Linden has always been a PNC stronghold, and it should stay that way. And when the PPP supporters show themselves in red, the PNC people need to run them out, chase them out. You believe red could go anywhere in those PPP stronghold areas? Green could show up there? No. Green can't show up in those red strongholds. They're going to run you guys out. They're going to chase you. So why can't the people of Linden stand up and stop being the Jim Jones followers? You know what happened in the Jim Jones situation? People just follow blindly and they went. And what happened? They got killed. So people need to wake up and recognize what is going on. That is a delusion. It's an illusion. It's a deception. And if you buy into that, believing that a lot of people are going red, you are wrong. That's not true. That's an illusion. And don't fall for it. Stand your ground. You're PNC, you're a coalition strong, or whatever you are. Stand your ground. The PPP are not for you. They're for themselves. They're for everybody else except Afro-Guyanese. Stand your ground. Don't be fooled and get bought by $20,000 or a red t-shirt or whatever it is that they're giving to you. Don't be bought cheap. Don't be a Judas. Stand your grounds.
Stand your ground indeed. In fact, one of the three blind mice, as they're known, or the three stooges, they're calling their relatives to apologize to their relatives. They said that they were used. They were, the guys, they hang out, they drink the little Guinness, smoke the little Fronto, and they said they were misled into making this video. They thought it was a joke, and then there it is appearing with the PPP. Somebody sent it to Jack Deere, and they want to apologize to their relatives. They're saying that they're not PPP. They say that they're diehard PNC. They born PNC and they're dying PNC, but they were still able to collect the money. They said, one of them said to the relative, we take the money. We take the money. We'll go to Dr. David Hines. Dr. Hines, look at these guys, and you can tell that they were just making a mockery of the PPP.
Yeah, this is the elite team. The root team. Strong team.
Number one.
PPP team. Yeah. You understand? PPP all the way. Yeah, one Guyana. Yes.
Holding the fort for Monday morning.
In any weather, rain, sun,
we are
in the night. We there right here. We ain't going nowhere. We all in it for PPP.
Right.
PPP all the way. Yeah, we definitely strong.
Praise it. Talk.
Yes. Yeah. We PPP all the way. Yes.
Big us up.
Yeah.
Let me get my hands on you. Get out of here.
Dr. Hines, you saw what happened to them. We just had to give them that. People love that. The Three Stooges, throw them out. But on a serious note, your take on these guys and the other few guys who are wearing red shirts for 10,000 and a chicken and some smoke herring and so forth. Your take.
Mark, Sister Washington went to a place that I want to go further. The PPP, they're not going to an Indian community and get Indian young men and make them papi show like they're doing to those street blacks. They dare not do it. The PNC, they're not going to an Indian community and do that to Indian people. You hear? Neither party would even think about getting Indian young men making themselves asses like those. The fact that the PPP could do it in our community means that they have a stereotype of the young black man. There's a saying now in Guyana that things expensive in the market, but you can get a black man to buy cheap. It is the way in which they value the dignity of black people. There is one value for the dignity of Indians, so they would never go and do that to Indian people. But there's a different value for the dignity of black people, that they could do it. And that value gap is what we have to close and eradicate. It is no accident the police will kill first, black men. The people the police will arrest first, black men. The people the PPP will post to talk nonsense and make themselves fools, black men. It is not accident. This society itself, including some black people, have bought in to that low value of their dignity. We have such serious work to do in our community. We have such serious work to do. What the PPP's campaign has done is not only expose their own quest for total power, but it has exposed some serious problems in the black community that we will have to solve ourselves, and we will have to pick up the big stick to solve those problems. Sometimes, as the black Americans would say, you can't deal with normal love, but tough love. And we gotta get tough. We gotta get tough. We have to, I don't want my grandchildren. I do not want my grandchildren to see that image, because it will live in their minds. And that is what they will construct in their minds about what blackness and black manhood looks like. That kind of black manhood has been seriously emasculated.
I want to thank you so much, Dr. David Hines, for that. Our brother Neville Seatal has been a victim of Jack Dio and the PPP. Many years ago, they evicted him and his family. Neville Seatal is saying that is disrespect for Africans. Thank you so much, brother Seatal. Says, never mind, they have something the PPPC can never take away. Never. Dignity of our African brothers and sisters. Thank you so much, Seatal. At least we have, our Indian brothers and sisters, those who are conscious enough to understand and see what is happening. They are also on the right side. Ms. Washington, you're from Linden. And again, we see the desperation by the PPP to want to take control of Linden. Well, what is your message for Lindeners come June 12th when they go out to vote? What is your message, ma'am?
I want to say to Lindeners, you guys need to stand your ground. Linden has been neglected under the PPP government. They haven't done anything for Linden. Most of what Lindeners have accomplished is through struggles. Linden went through the worst of the worst. And, they're still going through it. right now under this installed regime. And I do notice a few of you who are Guyanese typically say hanging your mouth where the soup is falling. I want to tell you, I have a message for you. Those of you who have turned your back on the PNC, those of you who served under the coalition but has now turned to red. And for those of you who are considering it, I want to tell you, do not. And for those of the ones who've decided to be a traitor and turn their back on their own community just to chase after another dollar, I want to say you have lost your integrity. Politics is not about money, it's about people. When you get into politics, you did that or you should have done that because you want to serve your community. You want to see changes in your community. You want to see your fellow brothers and sisters, Londoners, do better. You want to see the standard of living change. But if you have sold yourself for 2 shillings and a piece of gold or whatever you've sold your soul for, I want to say that's shame on you, and that you shouldn't turn your back on your community. That you should remember the purpose for which you decided to join politics. And for those of you who are considering, I want to tell you not to even give thought. Don't give no place to the devil. Because if you look around, you will see what is happening to Black or African Americans. You will see how PNC supporters are neglected. You will see how anybody who doesn't serve the purpose of the PPP are being neglected. And I want to say, stand your ground. It's not going to last forever. Stand your ground. Stay and remain true to your own self values. Remain truthful to yourself. Keep your values. Don't fall for what you're seeing and don't believe what you're seeing, because you know, a lot of times what you see on the internet or what you see on the TV is not necessarily true. That's not necessarily the truth. What would be the truth is what your neighbor says. Your neighbor will say, you know, I've always been a PNC, and that's where I'll remain. What your fellow brothers and sisters in the churches are saying, what your fellow brothers and sisters in your groups, in your community, wherever you live, that's what they'll be telling you, that they are PNC supporters, and they will remain that way, because that is the only political party I know or I'm aware of that whenever they're in power, they're for all of the people. And what Londoners need is somebody who stands for all of the people, not just some. So don't sell your soul to the devil just because you want $20,000 or a food bag of ration or whatever it is. Stand true to your values. This is temporary. This too shall pass. Eventually, God himself is going to bring Guyana to a place where we're going to have the righteous president. It will happen. It might seem impossible. For those of you who are looking, we know that we never thought the United States of America would have had a Black president, but it actually happened. So you have to remain true to your values and have your faith and continue to believe that Guyana will change. It's our country, and changes will eventually come.
Absolutely, well said. Dr. David Hines, you listened to Attorney Shellen Washington there. There's no disagreement there at all. But how does that make you feel? At least for me, I feel very annoyed and upset that Jack Deere, having such a history of being anti-African Guyanese, destroyed the country. Hundreds of mainly young Black men were slaughtered under his presidency, is to sit there and pretend as though he cares about persons of African descent. How does that make you feel? But before you respond, let us remind our listeners, and you know this very well, Dr. Hines, you were there on the ground, as we were in Linden. The men, Ron Somerset, Shamar Boye, and Alan Lewis, were all shot dead on July 18th, 2012, at the Wismar Mackenzie Bridge during a standoff with protesters and ranks from the joint services. These are the gentlemen. These are the men who were killed under the PPP regime, when Jack Deere and those other goons in the PPP didn't give a damn about the lives of these innocent men who were slaughtered under the PPP regime. Under the PPP regime, these men were given, their family members, were given, I think a total of about 500,000 US Guyana dollars, 500,000 Guyana dollars. But it wasn't until the APNU AFC coalition got into office that their relatives were able to get a substantial amount. They should have probably gotten more. But how does that make you feel, Dr. David Hines, when Jack Deere is pretending as though he loves persons of African descent?
Well, Mark, you know, everybody knows that I make no bones that I'm a very proud black man. And my pride springs from a deep sense of the lineage from which I come. And so therefore I am driven by that. You know, I came into politics as a Marxist, talking about class politics and so forth. But I have never been a stupid Marxist to believe that social class is the only form of identity. Your cultural identity is what ultimately guides you. No one sheds tears for your working class identity. But you shed tears when you see a white policeman kneels on a black man and kills him. It triggers emotions in you because it reminds you, Bob Marley, every time I hear the crack of the whip, my blood runs cold. Every time I remember that image, those images that you put there, my mind going, I was on the bridge. I had just spoken 5 minutes before. And as the other speaker was going to speak to those people on the bridge, helter skelter, I remember that and will always make Guyanese remember that. But in order for us to utilize historical memory as a form of struggle, we have got to locate ourselves in the minds and the experiences of our people. And that is what the PPP is trying to do, to untie us from our heritage, to untie us from our history. Linden is sacred ground. Linden is what Guyana ought to be. People from West Bobbies, East Coast, Quarantine, West Coast, Indians from the Indian villages rubbing up together and mixing up together to create a cosmopolitan area that is steeped in workers' struggle. And to see somebody who is as ignorant as that man is, and I don't mean any disrespect to him because he's the vice president, but he's so ignorant about Guyana's history. With power and ignorance, you get what we have gotten in Guyana. And when I look at those 3 young men killed, murdered, because the people wanted to save electricity. And then I see 3 young men making themselves jackasses. I see the 2 dimensions in Linden and by extension, Guyana. We have got to erase the second dimension, that foolish dimension. We have to wipe it from our face. And the way we do that is not to just call on God. The way we do that is to take our hands and wipe it. Those guys need to go to boot camp. Political boot camp. Cultural boot camp.
You're talking about the 3 Stooges, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cut their asses first. And then pack cultural sense in their heads. That is what we need to do in the black community. And we need to stop being diplomatic. We are in trouble from the outside coming in, and we're in trouble from the inside going out. And we always like to talk about Indians suffering too. They're suffering, but they're suffering differently from us.
Dr. David Hines here, Attorney Shellon Washington. before I get to you, because the three guys who were slaughtered under the PPP, they were killed. Londoners must never forget that these are three guys who have sacrificed, made that sacrifice for all Londoners. But yet they got three stooges are coming out now to basically disrespect these three martyrs: Ron Somerset, Shemroy Boye, and Alan Lewis, three martyrs of Linden. When you go out to vote on June 12th, remember them, vote for them in mind, and don't give the PPP an opportunity at all to take control of Linden. We'll get to Georgetown because we have all night right here. Dr. Hines doesn't work. Attorney Shellon Washington doesn't work. I'm the only one who works here.
We live in our basements.
Basement, right. Dr. Hines, look at what is happening. Look at what the people got their money. They got their money, and look what they did to the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Look what they're doing to the T-shirts. The red T-shirts. You see, Miss Washington? You see, Dr. Hines? You see what they're doing? The people who are collecting the money and putting on these T-shirts, they know exactly what's happening. But let's get back to Linden now. One of them who joined the PPP sent a WhatsApp message, and we deliberately blanked the name. Listen to this PPP guy. Just went back over to the PPP, got his T-shirt. Here's what he's saying to another guy. Hey, partner, I'm champ. Yo, buddy, the real tight, thing real tight, and I want to ask you a favor. What's up, bro? I know you does mind chicken, but you get any right now? Guy said, not really, but I could let my son kill two for you, bro. No scene, that man. The PPP guy now, the guy who just walked over to the PPP with a red T-shirt said, thanks, buddy, but I'm glad for two, but I want credit 20 pounds, so forth and so on. That is what the PPP has reduced these guys to. That guy is supposedly a guy named some Blair or whatever. That's what we're seeing. The supposed WhatsApp chat. But Miss Washington, getting back to these guys and the sacrifices made, these martyrs, talk to us a little bit, please. Again, talk to the people in Linden. Talk to the people in Georgetown, as you guys have been doing. Talk to them again about how important it is to vote, but don't vote for the PPP.
Right. Lindeners, as you heard Mark said, it's really important when you go out there in June, make sure you vote PNC, as you've always done. This has been customary. This has been your birthright. All Lindeners, or most of the people from Linden, has always been PNC, and I want you to hold fast to your to what you've been doing for decades, to what we've been practicing, and don't fall prey to the enemy. Don't let the deception fool you. And like Mark just pointed out, what some people did with the shirt, they threw it away because Linden has always been a place living in desperation. The PPP never cared about you, and they still don't care. What they're doing is trying to buy your votes. Don't sell your soul to the devil. Don't allow the PPP to pay you $20 or $30 or $40,000 for your vote. If you're struggling now, believe you me, after the election, you're still going to be struggling because they are not going to do anything for Linden. However, if you stay true to your values and vote PNC, under the PNC, there's hope. There's a possibility of things changing to whatever the PNC can do to help you. But if you go red, I'm telling you, you're selling your soul to the devil and you will get nowhere. Keep your votes. Continue to vote the way you've been voting for all these years. Do not change. Don't allow Jagdio to send people there to deceive you and to buy you. Don't sell yourself cheap. Don't sell your vote. Stand your grounds and vote PNC come June. And one other thing, I want to encourage all of you in Linden, not just Linden, but Guyanese, period. You have to remember the sacrifice that those who have lost their lives has made for you. You got to remember, not so long ago, and it still is happening, the PPP has always implemented the dead squad. And who has the dead squad targeted? Afro-Guyanese. It has always been a target for us. The lives of our young men has always been a target for the PPP. And if you open your eyes and see, they're trying to eradicate Black people from Guyana, because with the tactics that they're pulling now, bringing foreign workers, none of them are Africans. None of them are from cultures that would be similar to support Afro-Guyanese. So open your eyes. Do not vote for Bharat Jagdeo and his crew. Do not vote for them. Keep your vote for where you've always voted. PNC come June. Stand still, hold your grounds, and be true to your value, like I've been telling you. And remember those who have sacrificed for you. Remember those who have lost their lives fighting for justice, fighting for liberty, fighting for the rights of Londoners. Don't allow the PPP to now come and try to infiltrate Linden. Linden has always been one way, and we've always voted that way. Remember those people. Remember Ron Somerset. Remember Shamroy Baye. Remember Alan Lewis. Remember those people. And there's others who have lost their lives fighting against the PPP and fighting for justice for Linden. Continue to stand your grounds.
Well said, Miss Washington. As we're looking at the time, Dr. David Hines, this campaign is off. We heard, of course, of the arrest of Brother Tukuma Gunzi, wrongfully arrested, shackled, sent to the lockups for 72 hours and so forth. We see the brazenness of this regime going after individuals, not just Brother Tukuma Gunzi, but those folks who were charged up to now, almost 3 years now, some sort of electoral fraud. Nothing, no evidence against Roxanne Myers, no evidence against Keith Lowenfield, Mr. Mingo, and others, and nothing at all. But again, now we are heading towards these elections. We are seeing the brazenness of this regime, the corruption, evidence of corruption here, Ms. Washington, Dr. David Hines, evidence of corruption. One person signed this entire list for the PPP. And then we look here, persons whose names appeared on the PPP's slate, they are writing right now to say, look, they did not give permission for their signatures. We have dozens of such evidence, but yet the PPP wants to paint an impression that they are all angels in the PPP, that Jagdeo is an angel. Take a bite at this as we prepare to wrap up, Dr. David Hines, please.
Well, we laterally have learned that the PPP is a rigging machinery, and it has worked out how to rig elections in the modern day. They don't rig elections on election day itself. They rig elections long before election day. They rig the very forms that people sign to support candidates. It is that far back. And unless you understand the rigging machine and you understand the rigging culture and the rigging mentality, you're not going to pick these things up. And so therefore, what 2020 has done is that it has made our people much more literate about election rigging. And so we are able to pick up election rigging at the point of nomination. You all are getting the drift of how skillful these people have become with rigging. And so, therefore, we have to be pragmatic. And if the PNC is contesting, we have to vote for them. We have to vote for them. But if as we are voting for them, we have to ensure that what you just show on that screen doesn't happen, eradicate it from Guyana. So this election must be a battleground to hold on to territory, battleground to ensure that the PPP is stopped in its track, battleground to ensure that we clean our electoral machinery. This election must not be just another election. It must be an occasion for us to up our struggle to transform Guyana into a place that is tenanted by all of us who came and those who we met when we came, including those who came in shackles, especially those who came in shackles. So election must not be just vote. Use the local government election as an uprising against injustice. Go out, cast your vote, and then come back onto the streets and protect your vote. That is the uprising we are talking about. And prepare for tomorrow. Because after the local government, we have to deal with general election. Cast your vote, and then cast your dignity in the public space to protect your vote and to fight for tomorrow when your vote will mean what you intended to mean. So, vote and uprise. Uprise. Brother Bob's, one of his best-selling albums, the first one was Catch a Fire, and the second one, Uprising.
Thank you so much, Dr. David Hines. Miss Washington, attorney at law, I know you have a busy packed schedule for tomorrow, maybe all those court appearances. But your take, please, as we prepare to wrap up. Maybe we'll use this as your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, Marcus, always thank you for having me on the show. Thanks to all your listeners who are here tonight, listening into this show. And thanks to all those who have shared this link so that those of the people who are voting in June can listen in. And if you have friends, you have family in Linden or wherever in Guyana, you might have people, make sure you forward the link to them or refer them to the YouTube channel so that they'll look at this video and they'll see this is very insightful for them. And I want people to condition their mind that when June comes around, that when you go to put your vote, you know that you're standing your ground and you're maintaining your stronghold. Continue to retain. Linden must be retained as a PNC stronghold. Like I said earlier in the show, no one could go and infiltrate PPP stronghold. So why should they be allowed to even set foot in Linden to try to influence Lindeners in any way, form, or shape? And I think shame on this government for doing that, for sending that type of deception into Linden, where they know it's always been a stronghold, and no matter what, Linden will remain a PNC stronghold. So guys, I want to encourage you to continue to stand your ground and don't surrender. Don't surrender. Continue to fight for what you know to be right. No retreat, no surrender. So don't retreat back and surrender your stronghold. Hold on to it. Just like, the places in Guyana that we know has been traditionally red, it will continue to be that way. And no matter what we do, we know we can't change them. So don't allow them to come into your area and to disrespect you with a food ration or whatever it is that they're giving people to bribe them. Don't let them disrespect you. Stand your ground. We are people of dignity. We have integrity. And not because, we're being neglected in Linden. Linden is being neglected. Doesn't mean that you must give in to their demands. Okay, stand your ground. I encourage you to continue to fight for what is right, for what is just, and continue to support your party. Be loyal to what you stand for. All right. So, guys, I want to say good night to all of you. I love you guys. I'm going to continue to press to fight with you. I'm there, not in person, but I'm standing there with you in spirit, even though I'm, here. I still support you guys 100%. And for those of you who are here in New York, thank you so much for your support, for your love. Thank you so much for continuously bringing your business to my office. Thank you guys and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Miss Washington. Appreciate your time as always, and have a good night's rest and wonderful rest of the week. Dr. David Hines, I didn't give Dr. Hines an opportunity for his closing remarks, and I'm glad that Dr. Hines is on the show this evening with me, because there were some people who thought that maybe we were in a boxing ring together. We certainly not. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Dr. David Hines. He has been in the struggle longer than I have. He and I have been in the struggle. He, whenever he was in Guyana, he joined us in the struggle and so forth. And just to put your minds of some of you, your minds at rest. Not all times we agree on everything, but we oftentimes respectfully disagree on some things. But we are on the same side. We are on the same track. And I salute and I support Dr. David Hines, and I respect his contributions to Guyana. And that will never be taken away, irrespective of my views or my slight disagreement on some things. He is still a brother in the struggle, and that is why he's here tonight. And there is no love lost at all. Never will be, Dr. David Hines. Your closing remarks, please, sir.
Thank you very much, Mark, for those sentiments. And there was never any disagreement. There was never any rancor. And we are all, our eyes are all on one prize, and that's justice for our people and for all people in Guyana. I'm going to end this way. Catch a Fire was Bob Marley's first album. Then Uprising. And his best-selling album was Exodus, the movement of Jah people. Time to move. We move. And we have begun to move because we have begun to expose the rigging. Mark just put evidence of the rigging. We got to walk. We got to walk down Freedom Street. And we've got to keep our eyes open. Not only vote with our fingers, but vote with our minds and our eyes. Because part of this is to regain territory, to hold on to territory. But part of it is to expose the rigging that has already started. That's my message tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. David Hines. Appreciate it. I would love to have you back next Friday once you have time. I know you're busy with your shows as well, Politics 101. You also have a Saturday show?
Yes, we're doing some podcasts now on Saturdays and Sundays. Keeping the fire going. We one of the things the other side beat us with, Mark, is that they're not Sunday church people. They're everyday church people.
Every day. Dr. Hines, sometimes I was telling some folks, I noticed one person said, sometimes they say, Mark don't look too well, or Dr. Hines doesn't, or look too. I said, do you guys think it's easy for us to come on the air every single day, every single night? Do you guys every single day, every single night? It's just not easy at all. It's just not easy at all. But thank you so much, Dr. Hines. I appreciate
Thank you, my brother.
it.
And thanks to your audience.
Thank you so much indeed. And yeah, appreciate it. Dr. David Hines here for you guys. I want to play, after this commercial break, I want to play something for all of you. Don't go anywhere. I really want to play this so that it can encourage you to go out and vote. But right after this commercial.
So this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right, so here's what's happening. We all, and I think Miss Washington spoke about that love that we have for our country. the love that we have for maybe Linden, Georgetown, New Amsterdam, Rose Hall, Corriverton, and so forth. We cannot, Bartica and other township, Madhya, and so forth. We cannot allow the PPP, the convicts, the gangsters in the PPP to take control of those townships. We just cannot allow that to happen. So if you are in Georgetown or Linden or New Amsterdam and you are registered to vote, encourage your neighbors and others, your friends, your relatives to go out and vote on June 12th and cast a vote not in favor of the PPP, not in favor of the PPP. Again, do not vote for the PPP. Otherwise, you will regret. Remember, Georgetown is our first love. New Amsterdam is our first love. Linden is the same. Bartik and so forth. Think about this song as you prepare to be as energized as you can to go out and vote and urge your family and friends to vote. This is for you guys. As I bid you farewell for the night, I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.
Hold on to your first love, 'cause it may be your last love. Don't let it slip you by. Don't let it slip you by. Hold on to your first love, 'cause it may be your last love. Don't let it slip you by. Don't let it slip you by. I found hold on to your first love, 'cause it may be your last love. Don't let it slip you by. Don't let it slip you by. Hold on to your first love, 'cause it may be your last love. Hold on to your first love, 'cause it may be your last love. Don't let it slip you by. Don't let it slip you by. Hold on to your first love, 'cause it may be your last love. Don't let it slip you by.
Yeah, this is the elite team. The root team. Strong team.
Number one.
PPP team. Yeah. You understand? PPP all the way. Yeah, one Guyana. Yes.
Go in the fort for Monday morning.
In any weather, rain, sun.
We are
in
here.
the night. We there right here. We ain't going nowhere. We holding it for PPP.
Right.
PPP all the way. Yeah, we definitely strong.
Crazy.
Yes. Yeah, PPP all the way. Yes.
Big us up.
Yeah.
Let me get my hands on you! Get out of here! Now beat it! And you mucks don't get your stuff till you pay up your back rent!
He can't do that to us just because we're 8 months behind. But he did.
Yeah? Well, I'm going back and getting